Shanghai GDG is a very interesting developer community.
I'm glad somebody has asked this question.
This is where the magic happens.
This is primarily a question and answer show. So if any of you out there would like to ask questions.
Hey, this is JJ and Seth Ladd, and this is Dartisans.
Indeed. Dartisans, not Dartesians.
Yeah, I'm so embarrassed about that. I don't know how many times I've misspelled it. Like, I'm glad we finally decided it's Dartisans, not Dartesians.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Welcome, everyone. Good morning, good evening, to wherever you are.
Dude, it is flipping early out here.
It's okay. I like to get started early. We got a lot of stuff to talk about with Dart.
Yeah.
And a lot of stuff has happened, actually, since the last show we had, which was really cool. Thank you for hosting that, JJ.
It's pretty awesome.
This is episode 10. We have special guests from JetBrains to talk about their awesome Dart plugin for IntelliJ and WebStorm. Now, have you used the editor?
I started out using it this morning, and I'm a big IntelliJ fan. So
already, in 10 minutes. It's that good.
I'm excited about this. And, you know, these guys are from St. Petersburg, so anyone in St. Petersburg who's watching this, like, you know, major brownie points for staying up so late. And then anyone out from California watching this, major brownie points for being up so early.
Yes, awesome. Well, we have a lot of stuff to cover. So let's go into the news real quick before we start to our, chatting with our guests. A lot has been happening, so we'll see what catches JJ's ear here. I posted how to run Dart server apps on Heroku, and you can find this on my blog.sethladd.com. Now, this is cool because I know a lot of people know that you can run Dart apps on the client, compiling it to JavaScript, but did you know that you can run Dart just on the standalone VM on the server?
Yep, absolutely. And I'm psyched about this because, you know, since I had a background doing Ruby on Rails, as did you, you know, I'm sure both of us love Heroku, you know. Heroku is good stuff.
And so now you can get your Dart apps into the cloud quite easily and start playing around there. So end-to-end Dart, it is possible. Very cool.
One day it'll be App Engine.
We can only hope.
We can only hope.
So when was the last time, JJ, that you actually sent XML data via XML HTTP request?
What's XML?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so the Dart team, in their continued efforts to make programming the browser easier, have been cleaning up names. And one of the names that they've recently cleaned up, or the patch is going to land fairly shortly, is changing XML HTTP request to just HTTP request. How does that make you feel?
That, you know, it really makes me feel good inside because every time I saw XML HTTP request, drove me nuts because one of them is like, you know, camel caps and the other one isn't. And like the internal inconsistency just makes me feel uneasy, really.
Well, I think it's just a holdover, a legacy component from the web platform, and so it's nice to see us cleaning up these names. The other cool fact about this is that it is one of the most highly starred feature requests
is that right?
in our HTML component in the bug tracker.
Yeah, I'm glad we got the important things settled first.
No, this is good. I love handling the top feature requests from the community, and so keep voting and keep starring for issues. It really does make a difference.
Yep, absolutely.
Kevin Moore, a Dart contributor, he's actually in the authors file and also has published some really cool open source libraries, has begun working on a Minesweeper clone in Dart, which is very cool because he is publishing a developer diary.
I heard that it's going to be more fun because it's HTML5. I mean, that's going to like just make it more playable,
right?
Well,
16% more playable.
16%.
We can measure these things.
Probably.
And so it's neat. You can follow along with how he's doing his progress. It's all open source, and he blogs about what works and what didn't. It's very educational. Speaking about games, Danny Hendricks has released a significant update to his 2D game. And I don't know too many details about this, but he posted a screenshot, and it's really cool. It gives me the warm fuzzy about the old 8-bit console game.
You know, I was thinking about the fact that, like, I have a 64-bit machine, but all of the fun bits are in the lowest 8 bits.
That's good. Well, he's gonna keep working on that, and you can follow along with that on Google+.
Sweet.
Now, this is really cool. Okay, so DocSpawn, S-P-A-W-N, Spawn, is a web-based dock layout engine that aids in creating flexible user interfaces by enabling panels to be docked on the screen similar to Visual Studio IDE. Now, that's their description, but I checked this out, and this is really cool because it looks like a really appy app. And the kicker is DocSpawn is built with Dart.
You know, that sounds really awesome, but I got nothing funny to say about it.
But I like to see people use Dart to really build those kind of apps that you would have seen maybe on native mobile or desktop, and really bring the app back into web app. And so I'm very excited to see what DocSpawn's gonna put out. We've seen Dart be really interesting to a lot of Java developers.
Yep.
And Daniel Zwicker, hope I said that right, released his Java Maven plugin for Dart.
Yes.
This is awesome. So now you can integrate Dart to JS into your Maven workflow and bundle or integrate as a first class Dart into your Java projects.
So for all those people out there wondering whether they should use Ant or Maven, the answer is Maven.
It's Maven now if you want to be a good Dartisan.
Dartisans.
See, Dartisan, that's right. Moving back over to the Dart project, Gilad Bracha, our language spec author and guest and friend of the show, has published Dart's modest proposal for mixins.
I love me some mixins.
It's good. You can find this on news.dartlang.org. And my impression is that it's not meant to be the last thing we see about mixins, but it is meant to sort of get Dart's feet wet with mixins and something that's a little bit more tangible and something we can start talking about, a little bit more concrete for the post-M1 world. Now, have you read this spec?
I haven't read it. I was planning on reading it later today, but, I was thinking about the fact that, you have C++ with multiple inheritance, and you have, Ruby with mixins and Smalltalk and with mixins, and then you have traits from the Scala background, and, these are all kind of overlapping things, and so I think we're going to have to get Gilad on the show and talk about, why mixins, why not traits? What is the small difference between those two different features that, that caused us to pick the term mixins, and maybe it's just because of our Smalltalk background.
Yep. The Dart editor team, now this is great. This is a highly, highly requested feature, has released their Dart plugin for Eclipse.
That's awesome.
So you might be aware that the Dart project...
Wait, we have the IntelliJ guys right there.
That's great. We're going to talk to them in just a minute. We published the Dart editor, and this is a standalone editing experience, everything you need out of the box. But a lot of people like their Eclipse. They like their plugins. They like being able to plug in the Git workflow and say their HTML syntax highlighter, whatever it is. And so they've been asking, how do I get Dart over into that world? And you can try that out now. You get auto update, a regular old plugin install. Very cool.
I'm happy to tell people that that now works. I mean, because I've been asked this many times. So
Indeed. So this is very cool. So web components. Have you heard about web components?
I have heard about web components.
What do they mean to you?
I think that web components are, finally building something at the, the browser level that everyone's been doing at a framework level for a really long time. And because of that, I think we're going to see better integration between multiple frameworks.
Indeed. In fact, as a developer on other platforms, when I come to the web, the first thing that kind of struck me was I couldn't subclass button. I found that totally bizarre.
Unacceptable.
Yeah, so web components will allow me to subclass button. Now, and there's a whole bunch of other aspects to web components out there.
Is that the whole reason Git got started, just to subclass button?
I don't know.
I suspect so.
So we highly encourage you, if you are a cutting-edge web developer and want to know what's coming down for the future of web development, check out web components. And they really do have the potential to improve client-side web engineering. On that note, you can see how Dart, one of the ways Dart might play well with web components in the future by our GitHub repo, Dart Web Components. And you can see some examples there and some early R&D about how you can actually build and consume web components in Dart.
That's exciting stuff.
Very cool. The last bit of news I have here is, speaking of GitHub, the www site for dartlang.org is now posted to GitHub, and we've had some requests to help with fixing typos or bugs or contributing articles to the main site. We love it. We hope it happens. And so now we're on GitHub, so you can contribute. It's just a pull request away. You can find the www site plus a whole bunch of other great Dart sub-projects as well on GitHub. So highly encourage everyone to get involved, and we'll see you on GitHub.
Yeah. One of the best ways to get a lot of companies ask you for your GitHub account these days to see your contributions to open source. And I've always found that one of the best ways to get started contributing to an open source project is finding grammar typos in the documentation and submitting pull requests. And so now I'm excited because I won't be the one doing it. You guys out there will be doing it.
You can approve the pull requests. That's right. That's exactly the kind of low-hanging fruit we want to try to encourage. And so help out, and we'll be there to help you along the way. Well, that's the news that I have today.
That was a lot of news, but now we get to go talk to the JetBrains guys.
This is awesome. So let's flip over to the Hangout and welcome our special guests all the way from Russia, from JetBrains. Hello, guys. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
So you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Yep. Let me start. My name is Kirill. I work for JetBrains in IntelliJ, IDEs and WebStorm teams. My focus is kind of coordinates the activity that goes for web development, JavaScript, and all around. And I also contribute to Flash and Flex parts of IntelliJ and in the core and platform parts as well.
Great.
And my name is Fedor. I'm work at JetBrains too, and I'm developing the Dart plugin for IntelliJ and WebStorm. Also, I developing a Hex plugin for IntelliJ and some other plugins.
Great. So you guys want to show us what you got?
First off, thank you
Yes,
for
thank you.
building a Dart plugin. This is so awesome. And I know that almost right when the project launched, everyone's like, well, when is IntelliJ going to get
Yeah,
it? You know?
exactly.
And so it's really, really cool that you guys are helping out the community and building such a great product with Dart support. So thank you for that. And I think you're right. I think if you guys can do a demo for everyone, that would be fantastic. Show us what we can do.
Yes. Then
Let me probably spend some minutes on introducing IntelliJ.
Okay.
Or if you think everyone knows, what's that?
I think most people know, but go ahead and explain. I mean, we hear words like PHP Storm and WebStorm and IntelliJ and JetBrains. So certainly, try to put this in context
Well,
for us.
let me, maybe they want to be modest. So let me brag for you guys a little bit. I went to PyCon a couple years ago, and we had an IDEs panel where we had all the different Python IDEs, and the JetBrains guys were there to represent PyCharm. And so, you had the PyDev guys, and you had PyCharm, and you had Wing IDE, and the Emacs guys, and so forth. And, all the guys were showing the coolest features, and PyCharm just kind of cleaned up. I mean, it was just ridiculous. It was like, yeah, we have all those features, and all these features you haven't even thought about yet. It's kind of ridiculous.
Cool. Well, now I'm excited. I want to see how this works.
Yeah, and the question I get from time to time is how does IntelliJ correspond to WebStorm and PyCharm and all the products on the same platform? So basically, IntelliJ is like a superset of all the functionality that we have. It's like a platform with more than 100 plugins. And for instance, WebStorm, which is focused on web development, it's like 35 plugins bundled by default. Same for PyCharm and for RubyMine, which is for Ruby developers. And WebStorm is focused on web, on JavaScript, on CSS, on Node, and CoffeeScript, on stuff like this. And Dart plugin is available for IntelliJ and for WebStorm and other products as well. So no matter what you have, what product have you got, you will get all the Dart functionality with you.
But you guys don't support COBOL, though, right?
I have to check with the plugin repo. Maybe there's a plugin for COBOL.
Don't underestimate it.
One day.
There is 300 plugins on our repo, so I'm not sure.
Wow.
I will check meanwhile.
Well, as the Fedor and Kirill are getting ready to do their demo with the screen share, I want to remind everyone watching that you can go to developers.google.com/live and ask and vote for questions. At the end of the demo and after our chat, we will go ahead and go through the moderator questions. So if you want to talk to these guys, go ahead and go there. But guys, why don't you share your screen and walk us through some of the features?
So let's share it here. So I know that many of Dart users want a formatting tool, and we have a really nice formatting implementation. So it's formatter settings. You have a bunch of different properties for spaces, idents, and so on. So, for example, let's change some spaces and add a comma, add space before comma. So at the right side, you can see what is changing. So I don't know, you guys see it or not?
Yeah, we
That's
do.
a nice feature because we
And
don't have a
of
tool
course,
for
you
that.
can change wrapping. For example, let's wrap call statement. Oops. So, okay. So I took my favorite example from the SDK. It's a clock example, and add server. So currently the clock shows server uptime. So before start, let's refactor a little bit. So we the clock get message from the server every second. So let's introduce our message, and you see that IntelliJ can find duplicates. So let's replace all duplicates, and it's a message. So let's debug. So here is the message. The message is just a date in a string format. So you can debug both server-side and client-side applications in IntelliJ. I think we're done with the launching the application. So now I'm going to show you some another cool features of IntelliJ. So it really matters that you have a good tool when you are learning a new language or discovering someone else's code. So for example, let's find out how to change number of colors. So here is the main method. And let's check the file structure. So I see that we have a update time method. So here is it. And we can see that clock number represented by clock number class. So clock number class has the ball color field. Let's find usage of the ball color. So we see that here is a nice usage. So it turns out that ball color is index in array of images. Nice. Let's go to a ball class. So of course you can explore the structure of the class and you see the tons of different properties. And for example, you can easily see the implementation of random velocity.
Nice.
It returns random velocity, and you can go through each item, and the code is updating. So I think there is a T method, so I filter by T. Here we changing some stuff and so on. So of course we can check the implementation on the fly, but here is it. Let's introduce the variable. So replace and hey. No, for example, I don't want it's a hey, and I rename to age, for example. Just in a couple of clicks. So with the latest version of Dart plugin, which will be available in a few hours, we have unit testing support. So nice. Here we have a unit test. So just run them. Here is it. Nice tree of tests. You can observe a stack trace of failure and navigate, and also you can run tests from the context. For example, I want create one configuration for that test group. So I just right-click on the call and run it. So.
And now, is that using the unit test library that ships with the SDK?
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Using.
So
I have to develop something in Dart because so I don't know what to show you. I think I forgot something.
Maybe you can show some generating stuff.
Oh, of course,
generating. Or like live templates to iterate over the collection.
Live templates, of course. Let's go to the server. Let's. We have a stopwatch tick. It sends the date message to the client. So let's introduce our message. Then, for example, I don't like for each method. Then remove it and iterate. And IntelliJ suggests you the component which has iterable type. So in my case, it's connections. So we can, it's connection. And of course, you get completion. Another example about generation. I don't know what to generate. Let's generate some, for example, sector. I don't have a file, so let's generate. Nice.
Yeah.
Can you maybe also show the color schemes, how you can highlight the source codes, define the colors?
Yeah.
We don't care about things like type completion and refactoring. We really just want to see color schemes.
No,
well, when you use your tool all day, like 10 hours a day, it can be very important that you have the right colors and your eyes relax and so on.
Yeah.
In IntelliJ, you can choose color for context-dependent items. For example, for class names and interfaces. So, for example, I want color be really pink.
Yeah.
And,
so you can spend a lot of time setting up this stuff, you know.
Sure.
And interface green. And the element is interface, and I think it's true, interface. Maybe another cool feature is line markers. For example, let's go to the list class from EO. So let's check all classes that implement. So, for example, in Dart editor, you can you have line markers only up, and we have both sides and up and down. I think that's my demo.
Great. Thank you.
You know, I think we have 10 minutes left, and we got a bunch of questions lined up.
We do have some questions. My first question is, how much, or if any, of the Dart SDK are you guys using to build the plugin?
No.
We don't use Dart SDK. Like IntelliJ does all the syntax parsing, all the AST building, and all the completion of the resolve on itself. So we just integrated Dart SDK to execute the launcher, the debugger, and some test runner.
Okay. Ah, very cool. So you have your own static, the analyzer feature?
Yep. Yeah.
Great.
Okay. And how there's a lot of things to implement, and how far have you come along, and how far do you have left to go before you are very comfortable with the plugin? Are there big things that you think are missing still?
I think we need a bunch of feedback because, of course, I'm using it, but I think when plugin, when, for example, 100 people will be using it, then and we will get proper feedback, then it will be absolutely great. Because I think now there is some bugs, of course, and we need to fix them.
Okay, so we'll get you feedback.
In general, we brought all the basic stuff, like we can understand the language, we can parse the language, and all the foundation is there. And right now there is a lot of like refactoring features that we can implement this or that. And to choose which way to go, we probably need some more feedback from you guys, from users, because in general. Actually, right now, there is only further work on the plugin, a single person working on the plugin, and no one in the company except him uses Dart plugin internally. Yeah. Because we have like, I don't know, several dozens of technologies we work on. Each guy works on his own technology more or less, and it's really impossible to try like all the technologies that we have.
But I see that you guys already have had 4,000 downloads, and so I think it's just a matter of time before you get lots of feedback.
Oh yeah. Feedbacks, we get more and more feedback every day, and expect for even more, because only you real users can help us and to choose the direction to move and to find the most critical bugs. So.
Cool. Yeah. Well, we have some questions from the moderator, so let's go to those. So Kai from Finland wants to know, is there a plan to have the almighty inspection power pack for Dart?
Yes. It's, we use Dart Analyzer, and in the next version that will be available in a few hours, there is a huge improvements in working with analyzers. So it's really work.
Okay. Cool. Neo writes, is the Mirrors API going to work on the client side, and when should we expect to see it? So this isn't an IntelliJ specific question. The answer is yes, the Mirrors API will work on the client side. When should we expect to see it? I'm not sure, but I know that a lot of work is happening on it right now. It's pretty important.
Yeah, it's important. It's coming.
Here's one for JetBrains. How is the pub package manager support going for the Dart plugin in IntelliJ?
Yes, the latest version of the plugin supports pub.
Wow.
Awesome.
That's impressive.
What does that mean exactly? What can you do?
So we can install packages, update packages, also IntelliJ add root package flag to the virtual machine options. And of course, we resolve the package syntax.
Great.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you for working on that. I know that Pub is going to really enable all of our third-party developers to build their own libraries and release them, publish them. It's really cool. Let's see. What's the status of the proposal decision to remove explicit interfaces from the spec? W. Bryan from Madison.
I don't know. I'm
sorry. It's going to happen. I think the new version of spec should get published pretty soon, and that will essentially become the M1 spec, and that will have explicit interfaces removed, and then each class has their own implicit interface that they project into the world.
Wow.
When will we?
More like Go. there?
I think opposite. So in the Dart world, a class has its own implicit interface.
Yes.
Yeah, and you can implement a class. But in Go, I think it's the other way around. If you happen to conform to this thing, then you are this thing.
Boy, and Seth just schooled me.
Because I got schooled on this exact thing earlier. So Robert asks, when will we get a new version of the plugin? It's been 4 weeks since your last update. So it sounds like a couple hours. Is that right?
Yes.
Awesome. Very, very cool. We should actually ask on this point, how does one get Dart plugin for IntelliJ? How does one get started? Do I have to buy IntelliJ? Do I have to get WebStorm? Like, how do you recommend someone start?
You can download a version of IntelliJ or WebStorm. It is free for 1 month, so you have 30 days to try it and then decide to buy it or not. And you start it. You can actually check out the video from further how to install the plugin. So you basically open some dialog to go to plugin repo and then choose the plugin and install, restart the IDE, and that's it. Then you create a new file and you're done. Or you can just clone the project from GitHub. Like you go to main menu and check the GitHub and then enter your credentials, choose the repo, and you're done.
It took me 3 minutes this morning doing it for the first time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I should probably note that you guys have sales every once in a while too, and I'm just going to get up on my soapbox for just a minute. So every once in a while I'll hear like, but IntelliJ costs money. But you know what? The way I look at it is like the master craftsman, right?
Yeah.
Really invests in his tools,
Yep.
and he really takes pride in the tools he curates and collects and takes care of, and those things are with him for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think master web engineers should think of their tools in the same way.
Yeah.
Like investing in their tools is a completely reasonable investment in their own career. And so take a look at IntelliJ as an option.
And I would even say that a master toolsman knows how to use multiple tools. So sometimes you might need a wrench, and sometimes you might need a socket set. And so in the same way, I have both Dart Editor and IntelliJ and WebStorm and all working at the same time. I could do both VI and Emacs because you wouldn't code Lisp and VI. And there's lots of things where I would prefer to code in VI. So yeah,
sure. Well, here's a great one for the JetBrains guys. Ladislav, who is a really active and helpful guy on the mailing list, wants to know what parts of Dart are the most challenging to support in an IDE such as IntelliJ?
I think the library, because the common Dart library contains only imports and source statements, and when you, for example, include two Dart files, for example, a.dart and b.dart, you have to complete references from in a.dart from b.dart. So, I don't know, you understand me?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
this is great feedback.
That's the difficult part.
Yep. You have to really, really, really understand the import semantics.
And I think it's been a couple people on the mailing list a couple times. So this is a tip for everyone watching. If you import the same file via two different URIs, Dart will treat that as two separate namespaces. So that is, you can have a collision even though it's the same class. So we be aware of that and try to import from the same URI.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Good.
Awesome. Well, we're running out of time, so I'm sorry if we didn't get to all the questions.
Yeah, sorry about that.
But I do want to say thanks to our guest, Spasiba, for staying up late and joining us. Really appreciate it. And if for everyone watching the live stream or catching us late, everything is recorded, posted to YouTube, and you can subscribe to Dartisans via our podcast, which is also on iTunes. Yep. So lots of easy ways to get. And so we'll post this up in a little bit, and you can watch it later. You can catch all the episodes, this and all the previous episodes, at dartlang.org/dartisans. Yep. And we've got the videos on there and links to the podcast, so lots of different ways. And just thanks everyone for watching.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Dart is still technology preview, but we are aiming really, really fast towards the M1 release. And so these kind of feedbacks, these kind of chats are really, really helpful. So stay involved in the mailing list, dartlang.org/mailing-list. Stack Overflow is full of awesome Dart community members helping out with the tag Dart. Lots of ways to get involved. Things are on GitHub. And thanks for following along. It's getting really exciting.
Awesome.
So we'll see you next time on Dartisans. Thank you, JetBrains.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.